Welcome to the Living the Dream podcast with Curveball. If you believe, you can achieve. Welcome to the Living the Dream with Curveball podcast, a show where I interview guests that teach, motivate, and inspire. Today, I am joined by author, cinematic storyteller, and decorated Marine jet attack pilot, MD Selig. MD has a history degree, and he tells his stories based on his real world experience. So we're going to be talking to MD about everything that he's up to and gonna be up to. And thank you for your service, MD, and thank you for joining me.
It's my honor to be here, Curtis.
Why don't you start off by telling everybody a little bit about yourself?
Sure, you bet. So the Reader's Digest version is I came out of college with a history degree and went right into flying for the Marines. I was selected to be a jet attack pilot, and I flew in the first Persian Gulf War, which was 1991, if people remember. And during that time, I was also the intelligence officer for the squadron, meaning I was, when I was not flying, I was reading all the top secret briefs that were coming through, not only for our squadron, but kind of the worldwide top secret traffic. So I was flying missions and then reading the top secret traffic. And then after the missions, I would go back to the mess hall, and they had a big CNN TV there, even in 1991. So I was kind of surprised because it seemed like the three different areas of where I was getting information, from the real-time missions to what I was seeing on the top secret briefs, and then what I was watching on CNN, none of it seemed to be jibing. So I had a sense then that there might be, I don't know, something above the government, so to speak, that was pulling the strings. Like, it just seemed like a bigger game was going on. So way back then, I had a sense of something, but I didn't do anything about it. I then left the military after an 8-year tour as a pilot. That's one tour for a pilot because they spend a lot of money on you. And I went to LA and became a screenwriter and a producer and a director. And basically, it fed right back into storytelling, which is kind of what I've always done. I've always been a writer, but never tried to publish. And then after many years of writing screenplays for production companies, I finally decided to write a novel, and kind of the alien question came back to me, and that's why now Hush is out there, which is the novel, and that's kind of the Reader's Digest version. I'm a storyteller.
Well, let's talk about what encouraged you to join the military in the first place.
Sure, good question. So I was a young kid in DeQueen, Arkansas, which is back then in 70s era, was a town of about 3,000. And I would see these military jets flying over, just over the forest, and they were doing all kinds of crazy maneuvers, and I just looked up and kind of thought, I'm going to do that one of these days, because it just looked like fun. So I was more of a hopeless romantic, more so than like a military, let's go to war type. I was kind of never the warmonger type, as far as I literally got in to fly and had no idea I'd be involved in combat and stuff like that. But you adjust, and you realize you've got a job to do, and that's suddenly your job, and you're suddenly thrust into a war, and so there you have it.
Well, let's talk about UFOs. What made you want to get into talking to you about UFOs, and you refer to them as living conveyances. So what does that mean?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so um, one of the many things that, through my research over time, that I've learned with, say, the ships that came down at Roswell, and all my research of ships since then, is that there is a whole other uh, universe, I should say, of information about stuff that we've already recovered. For instance, the Roswell craft as an example. And one of the things that you learn about all of these different craft is that a lot of times these civilizations that are coming here and visiting Earth are so advanced that they are coming here in vehicles, anti-gravity vehicles that are literally brainwave connected to their pilot, meaning the ship is molecularly alive. Kind of like when you ride a horse, you kind of have a sense of the horse's personality and you connect with the horse, and the way you ride that horse has everything to do with um, whether you're going to be successful from the standpoint of making it do what you want it to do. But in the case of the aliens, their ships are literally built from the ground up with nuclear molecular nanotechnology, and the ships are actually alive. So that's what that has to do with.
Well, how do you feel like UFOs can do such impossible maneuvers that no country's military is able to perform?
Right. So, really good question. So, if you can imagine that each ship, this is another thing that, has become pretty clear through the years of all the research is that the ships themselves have a nuclear reactor on board. And what that allows for the ship is that allows the ship to have what's called a gravity bubble around it. So the nuclear reactor physically creates, if you just want to visualize it, a bubble around the aircraft. But the bubble that goes around the aircraft is, or in this case, an anti-gravity ship, allows the ship to no longer be affected by the Earth's gravitational pull or any gravitational pull in space, meaning the ship can warp space-time. So when you see on videos that, there's so many videos now of different UFOs where they're doing right angle turns and they're traveling at Mach velocities, and then they do a right angle turn or they go backwards, and it's all silent and it's all like impossible, basically, because no human could withstand those types of forces inside of an aircraft that's traveling at Mach velocities and then do a right angle turn. The human body couldn't withstand that type of compression, right? You'd just be crushed. But if you're in a gravity bubble, you're literally in a 1G environment, meaning it's just like sitting at home. Your ship can travel at Mach speeds, it can travel below water at Mach speeds, it can plunge into the ocean at Mach speeds, and you're never going to feel a thing because you're in a gravity bubble created by the nuclear reactor on board the ship. So that's how they do it.
Well, the government or the cabal is not going to come clean about the truth about UFOs. So, how do you feel like we'll ever get any closure on this topic?
That's a great question. So, your show and asking me questions about it is how it's going to happen. If you keep talking about the cabal, that's the most powerful weapon. Because what happens is once enough humans really fully understand that, wow, we are completely manipulated and controlled, and there are technologies available that have been available for decades that could have saved lives, families, friends, medically, not to mention free energy that's available and has been available for decades so that you wouldn't have to be driving in cars and flying in fossil fuel ships and stuff. Anti-gravity technology has been available for decades, but only a very select few who kind of run the planet have been utilizing those technologies. And it's they are so powerful that talking about them, you know, it used to be you'd kind of be in harm's way. Now there's so many people talking about them because they're basically on the run now. Things are changing. And all I can say is it shows like this where you just keep talking about the cabal. That's what makes some of them who know they're doing the wrong thing and have known they're doing the wrong thing for all these years are going to start stepping forward going, you know what, I've worked with these guys and you're right. I've always had this intuition that something's not quite right here, and that's starting to happen already. So your show basically is the answer.
Do you feel like the human race could overcome the presence of aliens or a threat of an invasion?
I don't think you have to fear that. There, in my experience and my research, the benevolent aliens are 95% of the multiverse, and the 5% that are malevolent, which are the ones that are working with our cabal. Their goal is not to terminate humans. They need humans. The cabal needs humans for its malevolent deeds, and that's a whole nother chapter that maybe I can come back on another day. But the long or the short answer for all of the all of the fear that people have, like, well, if aliens come here, could we take them or would they take us? That's not the issue. The benevolent aliens are all around the planet now, all around the solar system. They're watching this final evolution unfold because humans are rising right now. Sophia, as I call her, the planet. A lot of people call her Gaia, and that's fine too. Sophia is kind of the more ancient term for the planet that the ancient aliens used to call her. She's rising. So essentially, what's happening is the frequency of the planet, including humans, is rising. And that frequency is literally pushing off the malevolent aliens. They can't exist in that higher vibrational frequency of love. And so they're basically on the run. And it's not, it was never their goal to terminate humans. Otherwise, that would have been done a long time ago. If anything, it was to grow humans and control them because humans are worth a lot out in the galactic trade routes. So that's the long answer is it's not a fear of fighting with other alien races. We're not going to have that. That's not in our future at all. There's too many benevolent alien races that would never allow that to happen. The Earth is too valuable to the benevolent alien races, including to the malevolent alien races. And there are many, many races within the Earth. It's honeycombed. And those races would not allow that to happen. So I don't think you have to fear that.
Well, if the aliens have been here longer than the human race, why was the human race unaware of their presence?
So again, it goes back to, that's a good question. It goes back to power and control. So let me just put you in the shoes for the second of the cabal. Let's say, Curtis, that you own all the oil today. You alone are the head guy for all of the oil produced on the planet. Are you going to allow me, a regular human, to know that aliens come here with free energy, that they don't need oil to come here, or that I might not need oil to run my car if I had an anti-gravity ship that's already available because aliens are here? You're not going to allow it, right? Because you don't want to lose your control, right? You don't want to lose control of all the people who are paying you for your oil, right? That's your livelihood, that's your descendants, that's what you grew up in is uber wealth and uber control of the planet. So are you suddenly going to go, you know what? There's some nice aliens here who are bringing some technology, and gosh, they don't even need oil and gas to fly around. They're anti-gravity. They're silent. There's no pollution. Why don't I just give humanity that? You're not going to do that, right? Because you own all the oil. So just think about it for a second. If you're big pharma, are you going to allow the aliens to come here with med beds to heal the planet for all the humans who could just lay on a bed and the bed would tell them exactly what they needed to heal and would heal them? No. You're big pharma now. You're not going to allow that to happen. So now just take it to the banking level and take it to all of the top manipulators and power controllers of the planet do not want you to know that aliens exist. However, those same top individuals have been in cahoots with alien races for decades and are already out in the galaxy, ranging ever outwards, but controlling humanity, which feeds them money and control of the planet.
Well, you often refer to the Prime Directive. Explain what the
Mhm.
Prime Directive is and why you refer to it.
Sure. So, Reader's Digest version of the Prime Directive, all alien races, and this was always kind of funny to me, but if you think about it, it makes sense. Every alien race in the multiverse has to sign the Prime Directive. That's why you have the Star Trek show Prime, blah, blah, blah. The Prime Directive essentially says you cannot go to a planet like Earth if you're an advanced civilization and mess with the humans and evolve them with technology beyond their natural evolution. So, right now, if you ask 98% of the physicists on the planet who think they are the smartest people in the world, trust me, I have several friends. If I tell them there's anti-gravity ships that we've been flying for years, they will look sideways at me and go, that technology is not possible. It's not feasible. It cannot be right angle turns on ships. And what I'm trying to say with that is a small element of our human race, the cabal, has been in cahoots with the very small, malevolent alien races that are willing to break the Prime Directive. And they've been trading super advanced technologies. The cabal has been trading humans essentially in exchange for super advanced technologies. That's one of the things that they trade as humans to the alien races that really want humans for various reasons. And in exchange, they get alien technology. But what's wild is the Prime Directive and the benevolent races won't break the Prime Directive. And so what they're doing is they're sitting off planet watching this whole thing unfold. Because the wildest thing that's occurring is, like I said, the vibration of Earth, of Sophia, or if you want to call her Gaia, is rising right now. It's like the bloom. Between now and 2027, you're going to experience it. You just happen to be in the right space at the right time in your lifetime, and you're going to experience it. That humans are rising in vibratory level, and so is the planet, and it's literally pushing the malevolent aliens off the planet, and the benevolent aliens, the 95% of the races in the multiverse that are benevolent, are watching it unfold right now.
Let's take a quick break.
Okay, everybody, it's Michael E. Cullen II.
And I'm Sesame and Carta from the All Too Real 2 podcast. We're passionate about movies, TV, and pretty much all things pop culture.
Dive into the chaos of failed sitcoms, direct-to-video sequels, and the quirky realms of cinema and TV.
Join us every Thursday for your dose of All Too Real 2 entertainment.
We'll guide you through debates like whether Howard the Duck qualifies as a superhero.
Ponder if Larry the Cable Guy could be the new Rock or Schwarzenegger.
Discover if some shows and movies should have stayed in the cutting room.
Ever heard of a sitcom featuring that dictator with the funny mustache? Well, we watched it.
We're dedicated to unraveling the peculiarities of pop culture, sometimes with awesome guests.
So, if you're into the eccentric world of pop culture,
listen and subscribe to All Too Real 2.
Available wherever you find podcasts
and on Age of Radio.
Well, let's talk about your book, Hush. You know, everything in your book is thoroughly researched, but still you choose to write fiction, you know, so kind of tell us why that is and tell us what we can expect when we read the book and where to get it.
Sure, you bet. You can go to mdselig.com and there'll be lots of links to the books. It's on all the major platforms. And the Audible is out, and that's fun too. It's 22 hours of yours truly reading the book, so you can enjoy that. If you're enjoying my voice right now, I read the entire novel. But the reason I write fiction is because as a screenwriter over so many years, even though I'm a hardcore historian and researcher, a lot of times when I would read historical books where, say, an author was trying to really hammer down, like, I got all this evidence and this is exactly how Roswell happened, or blah, blah, blah. the reading to me, the story became dry, and sometimes I wanted to put the book down because I'm like, okay, this particular author just keeps defending that this one person was at this one place, and it's like after a while, I was like, okay, we got it. Can we move on? And so while I'm doing all this research through the years, I'm also writing screenplays, which are clearly fictional. I'm writing love stories. I'm writing action stories. I've had a couple of shows on Netflix and Showtime. There's a current sci-fi pilot on Amazon Prime. But my point is that I find that if the story is king, you will keep reading a book. And then if you find out, like within Hush, that if you're reading about Eisenhower and you want to do some research, that what you're reading in Hush about where Eisenhower is walking and who he's walking with and what armed convoy brings him to Roswell and this, that, and the other, you might find out that that's actually what happened. And all I can say is I'm one of those people who I go insane over research, pulling from every direction that I can pull from, interviewing, looking for interviews, looking for old videos, looking for people who said they were there. So I try to pull from as many angles as I can until a scene starts to develop for me. And then what happens is I just kind of know it, like, okay, I'm done with research on this scene. I'm going to splat it out. I'm literally going to vomit it onto the page, as bad as that sounds. And the scene comes out very quickly because I can clearly see every detail of it. And so that's the reason I choose to write fiction, is because all of the facts can be there, but I can then jump into, let's say, the mind of Eisenhower, and I can say, you know, Ike was pissed off that the aliens had come without any announcement. Now, I can say that. I don't know Ike felt that, but I can pretty much assess from all of his actions at a particular given moment whether he's upset, whether he's happy. I can assess from all the people who saw him in a particular theater after the Edwards incident where all the aliens came and he was trying to tell everybody, you guys, this did not happen. We cannot, the world will go in chaos. You guys have to stay quiet about this. What's fun is when I write the fiction, I'm writing still in the character's head. I'm writing from the character's point of view, but I'm writing from research so that if the character is having part of a good day and then everything goes to hell in a handbasket, that's because of the events of that day and what most likely I would feel if I was the president in that moment. And then also eyewitness accounts of how Ike behaved in that moment. So I can pretty much tell roughly what I'm assuming he was feeling because everybody said he looked mad at that moment or whatever. And so it's just fun to write a story that way. And I think it's more engaging for the reader all the way through to read about all these characters they're going to know and to kind of feel like they're there in real time. It just makes it a more fun story. So that's the way I write.
Where you talk about the cabal performing the perfect hoodwink. Talk to the
Mm-hmm.
listeners about what and how that's done.
Sure. So I don't know about your listeners, but I'm a skeptic by nature. I'm 62 years old and I never believed Roswell occurred. So when you talk about a pristine hoodwink, my entire life, I didn't even believe that aliens existed except where I was reading the top secret briefs and I was getting hints that there was some other reality happening around me that I couldn't quite figure out. And even 20 years away from that, I still had a hard time believing there could be any other race than humans. So that's what I mean by the hoodwink. We have been in cahoots and off planet for decades. Once you start to realize that, once you start to research all of the secret space program personnel who have now come forward where their mind wipe technology is glitching and they're saying, I had this other life as this person working for basically the cabal or the reptilians or the Nazis in space. Tony Rodriguez, Rebecca Rose, Jason Rice. There's just so many. I could name 20 of them, but it won't do your listeners any good. All I can say is once you do the research to realize how many people not have just worked in the secret space programs, but like Emery Smith working below ground at Kirtland Air Force Base 50 floors down and working on aliens as a medical technician in the 80s. So think 40 years ago, right? You start to have a sense of like, oh my God, this has been hidden from me, and I fully bit on the hoodwink, hook, line, and sinker. I never believed aliens even existed. And meanwhile, a small group at the worldwide kind of elitist level, like a very arrogant group that manipulates and controls the planet, has been working off world. And I didn't have any access to it, and yet I'm paying for it because it's paid for through government monies of all governments. It's funneled the money to build their deep underground military bases, their space fleets. It's all funneled. In our case, where Donald Rumsfeld said 20 years ago, there's $2.3 trillion of transactions that are unaccounted for. I can promise you they're not unaccounted for. They went to the cabal to fund building deep underground military bases, spaceships, spaceports that are throughout our planet, and we don't get access to them. And that's the part that, when I say the hoodwink, is so pristine and beautiful and perfect that all I can tell your listeners is I continuously go through the 5 stages of grief, where I'm just like angry, and then I'm disillusioned, and then there's some kind of recognition of like, okay, well, it's clearly occurred, so then there's an acknowledgement, and then there's more anger, and then there's finally acceptance, and then on top of all of that, you realize even if I accept it, I have to go on Curtis's show to tell all of his listeners who most likely, if they're like me, don't believe any of it. And at some point, they will come around to realize, oh my goodness, I have been hoodwinked my entire life.
Well, let's talk about some of the shows that you got out there as a screenwriter, kind of tell listeners where they can see them and kind of briefly, what each one is about.
Sure. So Southern Justice was my first independent movie. So I went to LA and I was writing screenplays and doing the acting thing. I was an actor in like Zero Dark 30, and I was on Ashton Kutcher's Punked show and some other fun little shows. In Zero Dark 30, I play one of the helicopter pilots that crashes, and I'm only in there for seconds, but I did get an audition for Catherine Bigelow, which is pretty fun. She's an amazing director. But so I went on to write a show called Southern Justice that we shot in Hot Springs, Arkansas, with a bunch of actors from LA. We produced it and shot it, and then that was released on Netflix and Showtime in 2006. And as you grow in your storytelling, I consider it a good B movie. You can drink beers and watch it and enjoy it. And then right now, currently on Amazon Prime, you can watch The Gunrunner Billy Kane, which is a sci-fi pilot that we put out. We shot it in the Mojave Desert, and it's a fun show. It's an hour-long pilot, but we're looking to maybe have it picked up as a series, and it deals with a lot of the stuff that I talk about in Hush. But I had written and produced The Gunrunner Billy Kane long before Hush, so I wasn't really studying alien technologies when I wrote that screenplay. That was more about my best guess at what the future would be, and fascinating enough, it's accurate in certain ways because I was trying to do all the research of what was coming in the future. So that's what's out there right now.
Well, tell us about any other upcoming projects that you're working on that listeners need to be aware of.
Sure. So I'm working on, so Hush is A Covert Evil Volume 1. So I'm already working on Volume 2 of Hush. And to kind of give you an idea, Hush took me 3 years to write. It's a 600-page novel. Fortunately, Hush 2 will not take that long to write because I've done so much research and I have so much kind of storytelling that I want to get out about what I do know now, that the next novel is going to come fast. I'm hopeful within 6 to 8 months we'll be talking about publishing it. So, hopefully within 2026 you'll have A Covert Evil Volume 2. And that generally takes all of my time. Like, I won't take on a film project from another production company or anything else. My goal now is to give everyone what I believe is your actual covert history. So Hush, A Covert Evil Volume 1 is basically your covert history from about 1940 to 1950. It's the covert events that occurred, like Roswell, like the Cape Girardeau incident, like the Battle of LA, where all the saucers were over the city. So that's what Hush 1 is. And intermixed with that also is the tragedy of MH370, which you'll see plays in there as well. I had some inside information. If you get the Audible version of Hush, you'll be able to hear the actual radio calls of the CIA taking over the flight. And that's pretty intense. And that's why I think the book has suddenly become an international bestseller, because people are realizing that I've identified that right after takeoff, it's no longer Asian voices making those calls for the rest of the flight.
So throw out your website again and close us out with some final thoughts. Maybe if that was something I forgot to talk about that you would like to touch on, or any final thoughts you have for the listeners.
The final thoughts I will always say is it's a super exciting, bright future just ahead. It's going to get a little messy between now and 2027, but there's a lot to look forward to. And all I can say is lead with your heart, not your head, and you'll be fine as far as making decisions about the wild events that are about to play out. Just keep going back to your heart, and what's being offered to you may not be in your best interest. I'm just saying, use your heart and you'll be fine.
What's your website again?
It's just mdselig.com.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. So check out MD's shows. Check out the book. Check out everything that he's up to and gonna be up to. Follow, rate, review, share this episode to as many people as possible. He definitely puts something on our minds to think about. If you or someone you know would like to be a guest on the Living the Dream with Curveball podcast, or if you want more information or to be able to leave a review or anything like that, please visit www.curveball337.com. Thank you for listening and supporting the show. And MD, thank you for all that you're doing, and thank you for joining me.
Thank you, Curtis. It's been an honor.
For more information on the Living the Dream with Curveball podcast, visit www.curveball337.com. Until next time, keep living the dream.